Oh, it's spooky in here. Why is that light on? Hold on. Okay. Now let's get... Oh, so you're probably wondering what the hell is going on right now. I, too, would be wondering what the hell is going on right now in your position. I turned off all the lights because here's what's going on. Today is Friday the 13th. I will show you, just so you know I'm not lying to you. So, in honor of the spooky day itself, I figured that I wanted to do a spooky type of video. But you may be asking, probably not. You're probably not asking or wondering anything. You're just watching the video and you're just like, why is she assuming that I'm wondering or asking these things, because I'm really not. The point is, if I were you, I'd be wondering, what is a spooky video? Like, what does this even mean? What are we doing here? Why are all the lights off? So what I decided to do, because I couldn't come up with any better ideas for a spooky video, I decided the premise of this video, I'm just going to finally get to the point. Jeez Lord, I am like taking forever to just get to the point. But that's normal with me. I like to ramble. So let me just tell you, I figured that I would come on here and tell a spooky story, a little like ghost story type of dealio. But I don't want to read somebody else's story for copyright purposes, and I personally could have sat down and tried to write a spooky story, but I figured, what might be interesting is to just wing it. What is it called when you... Hold on. I can't even think of the word right now. This is bothering me so... Oh god, I almost threw my phone. It's bothering me so bad. Hold on. Improvise. I had to Google it because I couldn't think of the word. And I was trying to say freestyle, and I'm not here to freestyle anything. We saw how that went in my last video, so we're not doing that again. I don't know why I'm gonna cry. My eyes are dry. Good night. Don't fight. Go to bed. Sleep tight. That was a rap right now, because I am laying down the lyrics, the words. I figured I would improvise a little ghost story here today for you right now. I'll just come up with it as I go. So, and that's what improvisation is improvisation, is that a word? So, anyway, I thought about it, spooky story, great, good, wonderful, but then I realized that I don't have one of those large flashlights that you would use around a campfire. Instead of a large flashlight, I have this. And I figured that this shall suffice. It is kind of bright. Just figured I'd blind you for a second there. It's not the aesthetic I was going for, but I will use it nonetheless. Anyway, let's get on with this. I'm going to try to be dramatic. Let's see if I can be dramatic, okay? Jesus. This kind of hurts my eyes. How do people do this? It's supposed to be shining on my face, right? I think this is good. So let's try to do this. Gosh, I keep blinding myself. Let's go. Once on a cold summer night in the woods, there was a boy. And this boy was not just any boy. This boy was the son of the mayor of the town that they were in. And the mayor's son was an adventurous little guy. And he just wanted to have a good old time. So he went out to the woods. It was not like a crowded, large forest situation. It was like, a couple rows of trees type of situation. It was like not like the forest you're thinking. It's just a little bit of woods. And I think you can still call it woods because trees are made of wood. I recently, a few months ago, was diagnosed with ADHD. So this is going to be an interesting story. We're going to get derailed multiple times. I can assure you this is not the only time that this will happen. And I don't know why I thought this would be a good video idea, given that I can never focus on one thing at a time, and I can never keep one train of thought going for long enough to finish what I'm trying to say. So, but we're going to attempt it, because I already started, so why give up now? So, there were woods. Mayor's son, in the woods. He's just vibing. And it's a cold summer night, and it's not that cold. It's like mildly cold. Like, you know when it's like 90 degrees during the day, but then at night it drops to like 58, type of thing. And this is in Fahrenheit for those of you who don't live in this weird country that I live in. So it's like 58 degrees, let's just say, give or take. And the mayor's son is in the woods. Okay, he's just in there. And he thinks to himself, well, a better vantage point to see all the things that I want to see. I don't know what things he was trying to see, but he was trying to see some things. So he said to himself, the better vantage point to see these things is to go up a tree. So the dude, and he's probably about, like, let's say he's like 14, because that's like a reasonable age to be in the woods by yourself, I think. I don't know, I didn't do much when I was 14, so I can't really tell you what's going on there. So anyway, better vantage point, climb the tree, going up. So he settles on a tree. There's many a tree in the area for him to climb up, but he decides to settle on this one. It's pretty thick, with 2 C's, pretty thick tree, and it's got a lot of branches, and that's a good thing. It's actually probably a pine tree, if I had to guess. It's almost like it's Christmas up in here. So, but it's not. It's not, because it's a spooky thing, and it's not happy little Christian holiday. So, basically, the more branches, the better for climbing trees, if you weren't aware. So anyway, big tree, lots of branches, decides to climb it. He goes onto the first branch, or he grabs it at least, and is like climbing his way up. Gets up onto the first branch successfully in the tree at this point. We are successfully in the tree at this point. Not we, he. He is successfully in the tree at this point. We're just the bystanders that he can't see. He goes up to the next branch and continues climbing this tree. He's in the tree and it's dark, and he's like, well, I can't really see too much of what's going on. It's a very like full moon type of night, so like the moon is shining, there's a lot of natural light. It's kind of bright for being nighttime. He keeps on climbing the tree because he's like, well, I'm already this far, might as well get to the top so I can like look at the moon and whatever else. So dude gets up the tree a ways and hears a sound. Now the first sound that he hears is a little bit like just rustling, and it's not a windy night, so he's like, that's a little bit odd. I don't really know what's going on here, but it's nature. Nature is as nature does, or something. So he decides that it's probably fine if he continues climbing the tree, because what could go wrong? He's already made it up most of the way, and he just wants to look at the moon a little bit. Then he hears another sound, and this time it is the sound of a snapping tree branch. Now he panics. He panics because he thinks that the branch that he's standing on is about to crack and break, and that he's gonna fall to his demise. I know this is a spooky story, but like we don't really want to get all gory with it, you know what I mean? So he doesn't want to fall to his demise. So he thinks to himself, well, shucks, I better get off this tree branch before it breaks and I get hurt. And in fact, it doesn't really matter if he gets hurt, as long as it's not a major injury, because he is the mayor's son and therefore has very good health insurance. But that's beside the point, because injury is painful, so he just wants to avoid that at all costs, which I can respect that, and like I'm not judging him for it. I'm just saying. So back on track, let's get off this tree branch because I'm not trying to get hurt. Pain, not good. So he climbs up another branch because honestly, in his brain, the sensible thing to do would be to go downwards, go back down the tree and like get down. And he thinks about it and he's like, I really should actually go down and like get out of this tree, because what if the whole tree falls over and like maybe that's what's going on. But he's already up so high, so he's like, I already almost made it to the top, let's do this thing. So he goes up right after he heard the crack, up a branch, another branch. He's on another branch now, like branch to the second power. He's standing there and holding on to this tree when suddenly he hears a bird cawing, which is very odd because first of all, it's nighttime. And do the birds sleep? We don't really know that for sure. And by we, I mean I, because I'm not like a bird scientist. What do you call those guys? ornithologists. That's definitely not right, but it's what I came up with. So anyway, he hears a cawing, like you would hear in a spooky movie. You know what I mean? Like, this is very stereotypical, but like, don't discredit his experience. Okay, you can't sit here and say he's lying because you don't even know him. So he hears it in the distance, caw, and he is like, that's really weird, because like, I just don't think that a bird of that stature should be here right now. And I don't know why he thought that, because a bird can do what a bird wants to do. A bird is a free bird. So if it wants to caw, it can do that at any time of day. But he's like, I don't really think that's normal. I don't really hear that. Usually it's not like a thing I usually hear. He also hears an owl, but like, he's in some trees and he's heard that sound before, so he's not spooked with that one. But the caw is like, it's ringing in his head. It's just like, why did I hear that sound? I feel like I shouldn't have heard it. Coupled with the snapping tree branch, and it all starts to come together in his head, but he doesn't want to think that that is the case. He is avoiding that at all costs. There's no way that's what this is. So he goes up another branch. Obviously the sensible thing to do would be to go up another branch. It's still a better vantage point. You can see the bird maybe and figure out where it came from. And also the moon, it looks so pretty. You have to go and see it. And he's almost to the top. He's been going up there for a minute, so like, he is almost to the top. And he gets up a ways, and then he hears like a growling sound. He's like, there aren't bears here, because I live in a densely populated region. This town does not have bears of any sort in here. So what was that sound? There's also not like lions or like anything else that would like make a growling noise. I don't do nature, so like, I don't really know all the growling animals, but it wasn't one that would, it was not. So he's like, this is not normal. Okay, first was the branch breaking, then it was the caw, then it was the growl, and I'm not even going to try to imitate a growling noise because that's going to get weird. I think I have scoliosis. I don't know what's wrong with me. So he is spooked, but again, he's putting it together in his head. One by one, these things are coming to him. The tree branch cracking, the caw, the growl. He's like, what is next? Because he can't fathom that that might be what is happening right now. He's like, no. I've never once in my life seen that happen. There's no way that that's the case. Now, mind you, dude is 14 years old. We already been over this. So, like, he hasn't had a lot of life to live in order to see this possible thing. But he's never heard of anybody who has seen it happen. So, there's no way. That's foreshadowing. So, he's about at the top of the tree. He was already very close before, but he's even closer now. He's starting to see the moonlight through the branches so clearly that it's just like, I'm right there. Like, I have been climbing this tree for what feels like forever, but it is a really tall tree. Don't discredit his experience. I'm telling you, it's a tall tree. It's hard to climb a tall tree in a quick amount of time. Don't even start with your sass, because I don't want to hear it. I want you to know that he's almost to the top and he's trying his best. So give it a break. Anyway, he's almost to the top. He's getting there, seeing the moonlight through the things, the branches on the tree things, and he hears something that is so startling that he almost pees his I shouldn't say that. He almost screams because it just is that terrifying. And what he heard that night going up that tree will never leave him for the rest of his life. So he's freaked out. So he's like, all right, listen, I've seen enough. I've been here long enough. I've done enough of this tree climbing thing. I'll revisit this place another time. We will get to the top of one of these trees one day. You and I, which he's talking to himself. Me, myself, and I will get to the top of this tree someday. So he starts going down the tree, and he's branch by branch, and he's getting down. He knows that this is a life or death matter. So he gets down the tree, he gets to the bottom, but he's on the last branch. He's not completely out of the tree, he's on the last branch. And he's just looking around a little bit, like making sure that the scene is safe. you know? Like when you take a first aid class, that's what they always tell you to do first. Make sure the scene is safe. So that's what he's doing, making sure the scene is safe for him to jump out of this tree. Because if there's something down there, he doesn't want to know about it. He wants no part in that. So he's just trying to be careful. And I can't blame him for that. I honestly can't. And like if I were him in that situation, I'd probably do the same thing. In fact, I probably would decide that I'm living in this tree for the rest of my life. And it's unfortunate that I just will never be able to go home again because there's something down there and I just know it. But that's also because I'm like slightly paranoid, and maybe he's not. But like I can't blame him for being worried that there's something down there when he's hearing all these weird noises. So he looks around, but there's nothing there. And so he's like to himself, like, this is very, very weird. Because I did hear all those sounds. And I really, really, really just don't trust that there's nothing down there. But he's looking, and there's just not anything visible. So, like, he decides, to heck with it. I am getting out of this tree. I'm going home, and that is that. I'm punching my chair for emphasis. So he jumps out of that tree. He jumps and he hits the ground running. He's going. So let me just tell you, now he's running, right? He's just going. He's trucking it back home to where he belongs because he does not want to face the fact of what is going on because he's pretty sure he knows. But there's no way to know until you actually know. There's no way to know until you have proof. So he's running. And he keeps on going. And he's running all the way home. And like, listen, this kid has lungs of steel. Like, he's just going and he's not even huffing and puffing. He's just breathing and he's just running. And that's like really, really cool and not scary. That's actually like a success story. I don't know if this has turned from a scary story into a moment of triumph, but I think that nonetheless, he's still scared. So like, it's still kind of spooky. We're gonna run with it. So he's run with it, that's for sure. So he gets back into town, which doesn't take very long because, like I said, he wasn't in a forest. He was in the woods, and the woods is like used lightly because it was like a few trees in a row, and then a few rows of trees like that. So he gets back into his regular old civilization. So he wants to know for sure if what he experienced is what he thinks he experienced, but he knows that ignorance is bliss at the same time. I know he's 14, but this kid is wise for his age. He knows ignorance is bliss, and maybe it's better off if he just never knows what happened that night. But he wants to know, and he wants to tell his dad what happened, because him and his dad are bros, and he wants to go inside and ask his dad if he knows what happened, even though he wasn't there. Because he's like, maybe he's a psychic. Once he gets back into town, he like kind of stops running because he's like, this is pointless. People are going to wonder what the hell I'm doing. So he goes home. Well, he's getting there, and then he gets there. And then he walks in the door, and his dad's sitting on the couch. And he wants to have a little chat with his dad. So he says, Dad, can I sit down? Can we talk? And his dad's like, sure, buddy. Like, what do you want to talk about? And he says, Dad, listen. Have you ever gone into the woods right off Vincent Avenue? Have you ever gone into those woods before? And his dad pauses, and he thinks about it, and his eyes get real big, like this, like real big. And dude's like, Dad, like what's wrong? Like, are you good? And his father says to him, like, son, you should never, ever go in those woods. Ever. And dude's like, okay, but why? Like, I was in there and I was climbing a tree, and his dad's like, bro, do not do that. That is off limits. You're banned. You're banned from going there. You're banned to shed from the trees. Do not do that. And dude's just like, Dad, what is going on right now? Like, I came here to ask you a question, and you're just being really weird. And like, I don't know. I thought I could trust you. I thought you were a trustworthy source for information, but you're really kind of bugging out right now. You're being a little sus, and I don't necessarily vibe with it. So it's just like, you can either give me the deets, spill the tea, or I'm going to my room. And his dad's like, son, I don't know what half of that meant, that what you just said right there. But what I'm going to tell you, you can't tell anybody else ever in your whole life. And dude's like, yeah, Dad, I don't know if I could keep that promise for you because, like, that's a whole lot of effort to keep something a secret for my entire life. Like, how am I supposed to manage to do that? His dad says, like, son, I'll tell you. I will tell you what the problem is with those woods, but you have to promise me that you're never going to tell anybody. And so dude says, all right. He says, all right, Dad, I promise you that I will not tell anybody. He's not prepared for what his father's about to tell him. So his father says to him, son, the last time I was in those woods, so yeah, anyway, that is that on that. If you've ever been in the woods, let me know in the comments down below. I'm gonna go. Thank you so much for watching if you already made it this far. Turn the freaking lights back on.